Good morning, students. Welcome to the chemistry class. Okay, students, we have started a second lesson is matter around us pure. Till now, we have studied properties of solutions, suspensions, and colloids, right? So, today we are going to see classification of colloids. In classification of colloids, as I told you, in colloids we are using different terms. Okay, the substance which is present in small amount is called disperse phase, and in which it is dispersed, that is known as dispersion medium. Okay, so depending upon our dispersion phase and dispersion medium, we have eight types of colloids or eight types of colloidal solutions. Okay, so we'll study one by one. Now see, if our disperse phase is solid and dispersion medium is gas, in this case this type of colloidal solution is called solid aerosol. Why? Because solid particles are present in air, okay, in gas. So this is a type of solid aerosol. Okay, I'll give you some examples. See, smoke or automobile exhaust or dust particles in air. So these are the solid particles present in air or present in gas. Now second, our disperse phase is solid and dispersion medium is liquid. It means solid particles are present in liquid. So this type of colloidal solution is known as sol. Okay, so milk of magnesia or mud, sulfur sol, gold sol, even toothpaste, okay, means solid content is present in liquid. So liquid is present in large amount because this is dispersion medium. So toothpaste, all these things are the examples of sol, where dispersion phase is solid and dispersion medium is liquid. The third one is solid in solid. Okay, our disperse phase is solid and dispersion medium is also solid. Okay, so this kind of colloidal solution is called solid sol. Okay, now you must have seen some colored gemstone, right? So what are the gemstones here? This is solid to solid type of colloidal solution, or you must have seen milky glass. Okay, so solid to solid, or where our phase dispersed phase is solid, that part we have completed. Now next, when our disperse phase is liquid. Okay, so when disperse phase is liquid and dispersion medium is gas, so that is known as liquid aerosol. Okay, because liquid is present in gas, so it is liquid aerosol. So fog, clouds, mist, yes, these are the examples of liquid in gas. Yes, water vapors are present in air, that is means clouds, right? So this is liquid aerosol. Then what is next? Liquid to liquid, it is called emulsion. So milk, face cream, liquid butter, hair cream, these are the examples of emulsion. Okay, paint industry based on this emulsions only. So liquid to liquid type of colloidal solution is known as emulsions. Now liquid to solid, when liquid particles are present in solid dispersion medium, that is known as gel. Okay, so jelly or cheese, solidified butter, shoe polish. Okay, so they contain what? Liquid to solid type of colloidal solution, that is known as gel. Okay, this is all about liquid disperse phase. Now in gas we have two phases, gas to liquid and gas to solid. Why we don't have gas to gas? Yes, we all know gas to gas is homogeneous mixture and we are talking about heterogeneous, right? So we don't have gas to gas because that will be a homogeneous solution. Okay, so gas to liquid, gas to liquid, this kind of colloidal solution is called as foam. Examples where gas is present in liquid, shaving cream, or whipped cream. Okay, on cakes, when you get those cream, those are whipped creams. Okay, whenever you are whipping something, that time gas particles get trapped in liquid. And gas to solid, yes, gas to solid, again it is known as foam. Type of colloidal solution is foam. Then you must have seen sponge. Yes, whenever you are squeezing it, air goes out. Or pumic stone. Pumic stone is porous. Okay, porous stone. So in those stones, air is present, right? Or cork. So these are the examples of some colloidal solutions. Okay, students. Now, next part of this lesson is purification or separation of what solute from solvent, or disperse phase from dispersion medium. Okay, so these solute particles can be separated, or the components of mixture can be separated by various physical techniques or properties. See, most of the substances found in nature are mixtures, and they can means they are chemically not pure. So mixture can be separated into components by different methods, which depends upon properties of components. We can study the properties and uses of the individual components of a mixture after separation. Okay, so heterogeneous mixtures can be separated into their respective components by simple physical methods like hand picking. See, small stones from pulses. Okay, means just by simple hand picking. Now, which property of material is this? Means easily we can separate them by hand picking because of the bigger size. Okay, or by sieving. See, small stones from wheat, and by filtration also, means tea leaves are removed from tea before drinking. You must have seen in aquaguards rolls of filter paper. Yes, rolls of filter paper is used to remove dust particles from water. Or see, wooden charcoal. Okay, wood charcoal is also used to remove suspended impurities from water, right? So sometimes special techniques are used for separation of components of mixtures like evaporation. Okay, so today we are seeing few techniques you have learned in previous classes, right? So it is easy you to understand. Now see, in evaporation, on what is the principle of evaporation? Yes. See, whenever we are heating something, substance which has its boiling point, or close boiling point, that evaporates faster, right? Now see, if I want to separate dye, blue dye, from its other component, that is water. Okay, blue ink is a mixture of blue dye and water. Now I want only blue ink. So what is the simple technique? Yes, here I have drawn this diagram. In this diagram you can see I have taken china dish. In that china dish I have taken blue ink. So whenever I am heating it, what will happen? Whatever amount of water is present, it will get evaporated easily, and at the end I'll be getting blue colored residue. Okay, so this way we can separate what volatile components, right? Means which can get evaporated quickly, right? So those components can get separated. Here water is getting separated from dye. Okay, so this way we can take that dye and we can test it for our further properties. Okay, student, centrifugation is our next technique of separation. Now, see here in what is centrifuging? See, this is it is a process. Centrifugation is a process in which denser particles are forced to settle down at the bottom, whereas lighter particles stay at the top when rotated at high speed. Okay, so see, when particles are so small and cannot be separated by filtration, why? Because they pass through filter paper, right? So that time the centrifugation is can be used. Now see, I know content of what milk, right? Milk is what? It is colloidal solution, it is emulsion, right? So I want to separate white part from milk. So what I'll do, I'll take that milk in the test tubes, and these test tubes are kept in these test tube holders, right? So this way I will take my the sample, means I want to check whatever milk I am getting from two or three different shops. Now see here I have four test tubes. So these are the these are four different sources. Okay, from different shops or from different dairies. I have collected this milk sample. I just want to know what amount of water is added, whether given sample is pure or not. Okay, means if there is what means see little bit water is present, right? But sometimes to increase the volume, yes, those milkmen they are adding large amount of water, right? So if I want to find out whether given milk is having large amount or less amount, so what I'll do, I'll separate white part and I'll check the quantity of filtrate, that is water. Okay, if I want to do that, I'll take those samples in this centrifugation machine in this test tubes, and with high speed I will rotate these test tubes with the help of electrical supply. Okay, so due to this what will happen, yes, outward force will get created, and due to that substances which are having more density than water, okay, not water, which are heavy particles, right, denser particles, they will force to settle down at the bottom of this test tube, and lighter particles will they will be at top layer, right? So at the end I am able to separate white residue and filtrate. Okay, so this is the purpose of centrifugation. Now see applications. See, it is used in diagnostic labs for blood and urine test. You all know blood is a mixture of different types of particles, RBCs, WBCs, platelets. Okay, urine test, what kind of infection, or if there is excess of proteins, if they are going out of the body. Okay, if they are not absorbed by our blood, if it means there is a vestige of minerals or the proteins. So this way we can diagnose whatever diseases we are having, right? So in labs it is used, then it is used in dairies, or even at home, whatever the process we are using, that churning. Okay, means separation of butter from cream. Okay, butter, so it is also centrifugation. See in washing machines, yes, see, yes, it is used in washing machine to squeeze out water from wet clothes, and also for removing dirt from clothes by rotation at high speed. Yes, I'll repeat. See, it is used in washing machine to squeeze out water from wet clothes. See, again the external force is at the periphery, right? And it is also used to remove dirt from clothes, right? So in this process dirt and grease comes in contact with detergent solution at high speed. Okay, see, high speed is required. If you are not using high speed, then separation is not possible. Okay, so this is called centrifugation. Okay, students, our next topic is separating funnel. Now see, immiscible liquids means which cannot mix with each other. For example, here I have taken oil and water. Okay, so any two immiscible liquids can separate out due to what? Due to their different layers, right? Due to differences in their densities. Okay, so they can be separated with the help of separating funnel. So two immiscible liquids can be separated by separating funnel. Okay, so here I have shown you the separating funnel. In this separating funnel I have taken oil and water mixture, right? So when we are keeping it for some time, what will happen? We'll be getting two layers. Now without disturbing this, when I'll open this cork, slowly the water level will come down. Okay, so when level will come here, that time just stop this flow of water, okay, with the help of cork. And here whatever water you will be getting, then just replace this beaker, because next time what you are having oil, or no need to separate oil, because here you have separated oil in separating funnel and water you have taken out in this beaker. In between somewhere you will get a mixture of oil droplets in water, right? So that can be thrown out. So this way separating funnel is used to separate two immiscible liquids. Now what are the applications? See, first application, as I told you, it is used to separate two immiscible liquids which are having difference in their densities. Okay. Then again it is used in removing molten slag. Okay, molten slag which floats over molten iron at the bottom of blast furnace. In 10th standard thoroughly you are going to study extraction of some metals from their ores. Okay, so in detail we are going to study. Just keep in mind that two immiscible liquids can be separated by separating funnel. Okay, children, last part of our today's topic is what? Sublimation, right? So, yes, you all are familiar with this technique since 6th, 7th standard you are learning this. So, what is sublimation? Yes, it is a process to separate mixture of two substances in which one of them can sublime whereas other does not sublime. Yes, so do you know the examples of sublimates? Yes, iodine, ammonium chloride, that is NH4Cl, camphor, then naphthalene balls which we used to keep our woolen clothes, cotton clothes properly, right? So naphthalene balls, anthracene, benzoic acid, all these are sublimates, right? So one of the in mixture, one of the components should be sublimate. Okay, so mixture of iodine and sand, or the mixture of sodium chloride and ammonium chloride. See, NaCl and NH4Cl both are salts and they are having same texture and color, white color, right? So if you are having a mixture of NaCl or NH4Cl, then it is difficult to identify. Well, means you will say, ma'am, it's only one kind of salt, there is no mixture, but actually both are having same texture as well as having same color, but one of it is sublimate. So which one is sublimate? NH4Cl, and common salt NaCl is not a sublimate, right? Then camphor and NaCl, so these mixtures we can separate with the technique of sublimation. Now see, here I have drawn this sublimation setup. Okay, experimental setup. Here I have taken inverted glass funnel. Okay, and it is inverted over sand and ammonium chloride mixture, right? Here I have put cotton ball or cotton things. Why? Because I don't want to escape ammonium chloride outside, right? I don't want that. That's why it is closed. And heating, when we'll start heating, what will happen? Sand is non-sublimate, ammonium chloride is sublimate. So due to heat, it will sublime, means it will directly convert into vapor state. Yes. What are sublimates? Sublimates are the substances which on heating, solid substances, right? These are the solid substances. On heating, they directly goes into air or gaseous form, right? Vapor state. So when vapors, see here, ammonium chloride, these are the vapors, right? So these vapors, they will move up due to heat, and then they will get deposited. Okay, instead of condensation, what I say, they get deposited, because this side it is a colder area, right? So they will get deposited to the walls of funnel, right? So some of them will get deposited here near the cotton. So this way we can separate sublimates from non-sublimates if we have two mixtures, right? So this is all about sublimation process. Okay, see what we are doing here. See, in this process, volatile material means what? Sublimate. It changes into vapor, right, by heating, and again after cooling changes into solid, and therefore can be separated from non-volatile material, that is non-sublimate, right? So this way today we have completed few separation techniques which are very easy to understand. So please draw diagrams neatly, label them properly. Okay, the way I have done, same thing you have to do in your notebook, and complete everything. Complete your worksheet. Next time we are going to study distillation, or okay, then fractional distillation, chromatography. Okay, few complicated techniques we are going to study. Okay, thank you.